different kinds of bangs. If you'll remember, Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 or 2 that the Jews love a sign and the Greeks seek wisdom. Well, since the Jews love signs at the beginning of the book of Acts, God gave them lots of signs, because the first part of the book of Acts is all Jew all the time, and they got a lot of signs and miracles and speaking in tongues and healing people and raising the dead and so forth. And then, not that he gives the Greeks wisdom by the end of the book of Acts, but there is a whole new program announced, and that is grace, absolute grace to all the nations, including Israel. The favor of God shown to those who don't earn it and don't merit it and don't qualify for it. Don't even try. So
don't even try. That's the universalist motto right there.
You are snarky still.
No, Ace, that's fair. That is completely fair. You guys are always talking about tryhards, trying too hard, doing works.
God can show favor to a fellow who doesn't even try to get God's favor and attention. And we see it in Paul. On the road to Damascus, Paul was not trying to win God's favor. No, he was trying to do some bloodletting, and God showed him favor nonetheless. So it's a big deal that if God shows a fellow favor and the guy doesn't even try to get God's favor and still he gets God's favor, oh my God, JG, what are we talking about here? This is like love. Love, L-O-V-E. You ever heard of love?
Mm-hmm. He forced it, didn't he? He said, you're going to love me. You're going to love me no matter what. All of you are. All of you claymations are going to love me.
Your understanding of love is very focused on a Hallmark movie definition of love.
Like you reciprocate it. You don't force people to love you. They love you back willingly.
If you have
the version that says you're going to love me, and that's the way it is. That's your version.
If you have a love affair going on between a mother or father or an uncle or a grandfather and this 3-day-old baby who's pooping in his pants, and he changes his poopy pants out of love, and he expects nothing out of return, there's no reward for changing poopy pants. And let's say the little 3-day-old kid turns out to be 84 years old, and he still needs someone to change his diaper, and he's got mental, problems. He's Alzheimer's. He doesn't know that you're changing his diaper. Can you do it out of love without any expectation of reciprocity?
Yeah. What is the analogy here? Like God is changing the diapers of the young one and the old one, and neither of them are mentally capable of reciprocating?
God changes all of our diapers. He is the savior of all.
He doesn't want your love back.
He will get it.
Right. You think he forces it. He's like, he'll get it one way or another.
He will give us growth and understanding.
So it's synthetic. He just makes a formula, and then you love him back, whether you want to or not.
He will give us understanding and growth at the appropriate time.
I'm trying to follow the idea. Like, if someone like Wildheart shakes his fist at God, burns his Bible online, says, F you, God, you're just like, Wildheart, he's going to make you love him. You may as well do it now. Something like that.
What is your problem with Wildheart burning a book?
I was making the point, like an example of somebody we know who like burns the Bible, hates God, says F you to God all the time, or has it in the past. You would say to him, hey, just give in. You say you don't love him now, but he will make you love him. Something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because Wildheart is not a static, pile of goo. God is growing him.
Well, I think in his philosophy, he is a pile of goo, but it's not static. It is moving around. That's true.
And none of us are static. God brings us all along, and he makes sure that we are all acquainted with sin, condemnation, and death. And then he saves us out of sin, condemnation, and death. It's a big project that God has in mind.
He's like, let me throw you into this, and then let me save you from that. And in the meantime, you can't do anything about it. Anything you think you're doing is just a relative illusion. I'm doing it all. Ha, 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 ha. Is that correct?
Oh, well, the opposite would be you, JG, are saving yourself. Is that
what can you do? What can you do while you're here? Can you do anything to please God? Can you love him back?
Do you think I am doing anything to please
No,
God?
I'm asking you, can you
I
actually
am doing a goddamn show 10 hours a day.
wait a
What are
second?
you doing? You're
Wait a second.
playing music and you're
Oh, so
letting Eric speak for you.
you're better than me. You're a vessel
You're
of honor.
accusing me of false
No.
notions. You're blaspheming me.
Wait, I'm blaspheming you. You can be blasphemed?
Bite me, buddy. Bite me.
What are you talking about?
Is it
You
true
can,
that
ACO
God
can be
created
blasphemed?
us all?
Are you revealing that you think you're God? Is that what that was?
See, you're twisting the argument just
Well,
for
what do
your
you mean?
to
What do
make
you mean I'm
yourself look
blaspheming?
so important. I just will bow to you right now. You are absolutely important. I will shut up and let us all walk on eggshells here. The JG Eggshell Walking Brigade. Welcome, Bruce.
Ooh, Ace, you're falling apart quickly here.
Thank you, Ace. Hello. I came in.
Well, he really fell apart quickly there, didn't he?
Oh, I came in because Jay is here. If you don't mind, I have a request, Jay, if it's possible. If Ace,
I don't know, Bruce. I mean, we don't talk that much. For you to make a request seems a little bit forward. But go ahead.
Okay. Why do you have a channel?
Oh, why do I have a channel?
Yeah.
What kind of question is that?
Well, I'm asking. I'll lead to.
Oh, you're just asking. What kind of question is that? Oh, I'm just asking.
Okay, so you have a channel. So
Very good. You caught on. I have a channel.
Are people allowed to comment on your channel, or would you rather people not comment if by chance they'd make you think? Okay, so what I find is that for
ladies and gentlemen, it's Bruce.
Okay, and you're not okay. Let's go here. Let's see tell me what's up with this. For the last couple years.
Hey Bruce, I was talking to Ace. You know, I don't know why you want to come in and talk about the channel. You want to talk about this another time? You come over to the channel and ask me why I have a channel another time.
Is it okay if I figure out why he blocks me?
I'm not going to talk about why I have a channel.
Why do you block me, Jay, on all the time?
You just came on. Hey, Dum Dum.
I have 2 channels right now that are blocked. So my question is, Jay, why? Dum Dum?
Yeah, listen,
praise
Dum Dum.
Jesus, praise Jesus, hallelujah! I hear the Holy Spirit working in you today.
Yeah, you came on the channel like a week ago. Remember?
Yes, and then I
came complaining about your fake names being blocked. I don't know how many fake names you have. I didn't know it was you.
That's not a fake name. Doxing for Jesus.
How am I supposed to? We already went over this.
Okay, so why is Smoked Zombie blocked too? Every dang channel I have, you block, dude. Why? Why is you block them? My point is, you're afraid to think, Jay.
Why is who blocked, dude?
You beat up atheists, and then when I bring up questions, you go, "Oh, you're acting like an atheist." No, I'm trying to make you think.
Okay, good. Who did you ask why they're blocked?
Okay, so Jay, why do you do you have faith? Do you have faith in certain things?
I got to answer your question.
When I join, do you have faith that it's going to go bad? And if so, why?
I can't get a word in, dude.
Okay, go ahead.
Who did you say was blocked? Some zombie?
Smoked Zombie.
He's complaining because a Smoked Zombie is blocked and it's under him.
Wrong? What is wrong with Smoked Zombie? What did he do other than question you and Eric with your bullcrap and your bully attitudes?
You're complaining about.
I'm just asking, why did you block Smoked Zombie and why did you block Doxing for Jesus? Why?
I don't know. I don't know who those people are, dude.
Well, they're me. I told you that last week. I told you that Doxing for Jesus.
You're not blocked, dude. Your fake accounts are blocked. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Those are not fake accounts. Those are my only accounts.
Those are your only accounts.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you have a different name, so I didn't know it was you, man.
Oh what do you want to say? I told you, didn't I?
Doxing for Jesus.
Yeah, that's me. I told you that.
Yeah, I let you on the show. I didn't block your account. Get over it, dude.
Well, why can't I comment then? And why, when I go to another channel, is that blocked too?
Dude, you're tripping, dude.
See, you're afraid, Jay. That's the whole
point. Yeah, I'm afraid of you, Bruce. You're right.
You're damn right you are.
Hope I don't meet you on the streets, man.
Oh, are you going to kick my ass in Jesus' name?
I love it.
No, I'm afraid of you. I said, if I see you in the streets, I'll have to run.
No,
and your motorbike might be. If you're on your badass motorbike, I might be in trouble, right?
On my badass motorbike, like what? I don't have a motorbike. I have a unicycle. I docks on it, myself.
Good job, Bruce. Good job.
Do you know how to juggle? Do you know how to juggle?
I'm done. Oh no, that would be good though. A little bit, kind of.
Because I immediately imagined you on a unicycle, but juggling while you were riding.
Well, I did in Ace's Dream one time. I did. Honest to goodness, Ace. Well, that was really good, Jay. That's kind of what I expected. You don't.
Good. I'm glad it's we worked it out.
If ever you want me, maybe next time I want to play atheist, you can let me come in and actually debate.
Oh, you want to play atheist?
Yeah, remember that? You wanted all the atheists to come in, and then you're upset and making fun because none of them would come in. And I said, well, I'll come in and do it. I'll pretend to be an atheist today.
You might not have to pretend. I'm starting to wonder.
Why wouldn't you let me do that? Well, remember, I'm an atheist because I think just like an atheist, because I think that if I throw a rock in the air and stand underneath it, it might hit me in the head. And I have faith in that. So therefore, I think like an atheist. It's like if you're foolish. You're foolish.
You got to be sure, right? I mean, the atheist needs evidence. So
why do you think you're so wise beating up people
this guy
for having faith in the basic things in life the way God created it? Why does that make them idiots? Like, why do you mock people for recognizing?
You mean for asking what? Dude, you're very difficult to talk to.
I'm just asking, why do you mock people for having faith that if they plug in their coffee maker, it'll probably work?
I don't.
You don't? Well, then what are you doing? Why do you laugh and mock them? Because they have faith.
Who am I laughing, mocking about that? What are you talking about?
The atheist. You do it all the time. When you turn your key and
I challenge you.
You have faith it'll start. When you plug in your coffee maker, you have faith it'll start. What are those conversations about if you're not mocking them?
You don't even understand those points.
Well, no, it's stupid.
You got to slow down and let me talk, and I'll tell you. The point is to challenge the fact that everyone has faith. You challenge what their faith is actually in. The believer has faith in God. We want to know what the unbeliever has their faith in. They say they have faith. We want to know why. We want an account for it, a justification. There's a reason to do that.
When do they say they have faith? When you push them that they have faith that if they do such and such a thing or whatever, they expect such to happen?
It's apparent that everyone has faith. It's impossible not to.
It's called common sense.
You can call it common sense, but you can also explore what it is that's happening, right? The concept. It would be
common sense to throw the rock in the air and expect. It would be the lack of common sense to think it's not going to hit you in the head. Anyhow, I'm done, Jay. This is ridiculous.
Yes, you are.
Okay, if that makes you feel good.
God who saves us and calls us with a holy calling, not in accord with our actions, but in accord with his own purpose and the grace which is given to us in Christ Jesus before time's Aeonian. Cool. What do you think of that one, Bruce?
Oh, I was reading the side chats. I'm sorry. Is it in relation to okay, I'll read it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead out loud.
Calling according to our acts, not according to our acts, but in accord with his own purpose and the grace which is given to us in Christ Jesus before times, forever, Aeonian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would only be by grace that any of us scumbags would. Oh, I know that sounded pretty smoky, like. Would have a chance to ever make it. Like, we're incapable of our own accord.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the point?
Well, I think this is
we're relying upon him and what he did.
that we're saved before the world began. We're called before the world began. And we have grace before the world began. Before we were ever created, we were saved. This is one of the things this passage says.
Yeah, I don't understand the foreknowledge part and that kind of thing. It's
not many of us do.
My ability. Yeah, I can't really comprehend knowing everything at the time of creation, however long, and that's all about. I don't know.
I went over to JG's yesterday and posted this very passage from the King James, of course. King James says before the world began, but it does say clearly that we're saved not in accord with our works, but we're saved before the world began. And you should have seen all the verses that came out of nowhere that said you better obey, 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 obey. It was like 20 or 50 verses somebody dragged out that said you better obey. Never mind that you were saved before you could ever obey. According to 2 Timothy 1:9, we're saved before we obey.
I think there's enough I see in the Bible that leads me to think there's those who aren't going to be accepted. It's what I see. So I have a hard time with some of that.
Can you imagine that God saved you before the world began?
Well, he knows. He would know everything, right?
Bruce, who does it say won't be accepted?
Who does it say won't be accepted? I would think the reprobate, gosh, in Revelation, doesn't it discuss a number of those kind of people?
You could refresh my memory.
Well, go look it up, I guess. I can do that.
He saves us before the world began. He calls us before the world began. He saves us and calls us not in accord with our actions. Wow. This is unexplored territory. The final frontier.
Well, I still think it would come back to being forgiven. Because they come up with the sexually immoral, the adultery, homosexuality, theft, greed, drunkenness. Of course, that's just an AI overview, but I can find the verses, of course. I'm just saying, I don't know. I think God does forgive us, And I guess it comes down to if we believe. Now, I know you have a different view on that, but it's my thought on it. Although I don't know how much a person was given and how God weighs all that out either, I think we can hope for we believe he's a just God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a just-in-time God, too. He's just and just in time.
And he knows everything about us. He knows our hearts, every hair on our head, that kind of thing. So yeah. I think that's it's scary, and yet there's hope in that also. That's how I see it. But he does know all.
And besides knowing all, look at the verbs in this thing right here on the screen. He saves us. Not just he knows what we're going to do. He saves us and he calls us in accord with his own purpose. Isn't that fun? The doings of God are worth noting.
Yeah.
So have you had any dreams about me lately, Bruce?
They were hot. No, I haven't. Have you? Come on.
Well, not lately.
Oh, there we go. That was good. Yeah, it's not because of anything we have done, but because of his own purpose and grace.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, given to us before the beginning of time.
Well, if it's nothing that we've done, then who is it that salvation's not for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, I guess well, there's okay. So there's weird verses, like things I see that people bring up about living in sin and having hate, and usually lately what I've noticed that's odd to me is the ones that are screaming about that. And I see them lying and trying to hurt other people and that kind of thing, and and how you judge others, you'll be judged. And I wonder about stuff like that. And I think, that's kind of odd. I've been watching this for years. So, yeah, it's been a strange thing lately. I've been wondering all the more about making fun of atheists, making fun of Christians, making fun of people that don't think like we do and that kind of thing, and causing all kinds of harm. And, yeah, it makes me wonder. That's all I'm addressing. And there are Bible verses to back that position. So I don't really study verses to beat the hell out of people, to be quite honest. That's not my goal. I know that they're there. People want to use them or how they want to try to apply them, I guess.
Bruce, speaking of God being just, could you read the call out right here on the screen?
The just justifier will justify the unjust in the nick of time. Ain't that just juicy? What Bible translation is that from? Come on. Yeah, I know that's some transliteration or something. What is that?
Read it again. It tickles me.
No. You wrote it. It's your word. Nick. Who the heck is Nick? Jolly old Saint Nick. Yeah, I don't know how it all works. Don't claim that. Can you ask that guy in the side chat, the Holy Lions part guy?
He says, just wanted to say, my holy orbs are swollen for JG today, and he's ready for the release.
Yeah, he's an honest guy. I mean, that's the good thing. Really honest Dave. That Eric guy. Never lie or deceive. Here we go. And that's the stuff that makes me wonder.
Hey, Bruce, do unbelievers, do they get to go to heaven?
I'm trying to think. I can't see who's speaking.
It shouldn't change the answer.
Yeah, I can. I can do whatever I want. I'm just asking, who is this? Is this Will? It sounds like
yeah, it's Will.
Yeah. So what are you trying to trap me in? What's your point?
I guess it was a tough question.
The unbeliever? No, I don't really know what the unbeliever has heard or not heard, or what they've rejected, or I have no idea. God knows that. I don't know that. It's not my place to decide that kind of thing, is it?
I don't know. You'd mentioned some types of people that wouldn't be saved, and
yeah, I think that's very possible, according to the Bible, that there's some people that wouldn't be saved. Now, as far as to those who never heard, and as far as to why a person may reject, how they've been treated, what they've been told. Look, I don't know how that works. God knows that. It's not my place.
What place is
the place I see in the Bible that it says some people won't go to heaven, and I suspect there's some form of hell or torture, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I'm if I'm going to get ridiculed for having that belief based on the Bible, it's going to be kind of
I'm saying that makes sense with what you said earlier, because you said you wanted to be less judgmental about atheists and all that, and with what you just said, you not knowing their history and what they've been exposed to,
right?
That takes the ability to judge almost out of it. So, that's consistent with what you said.
Yeah, there's just too much I don't know about a person. When a person's quoting the Bible and saying they believe, but they their desire is to harm and hurt people, then I do wonder about people like that, how that would work out, And it is odd to watch. Very strange. But God knows.
So maybe you'll like this verse here, Bruce. This one, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 5. Could you read that one to us?
I wanted to go grab a cigarette quick, but so that being not judging anything before the season till the Lord should be coming. What is weird syntax? Be honest, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the hearts? And then applause will be coming to each one from God.
Yeah, so the King James says, don't be judging anything before the time, because praise will be coming to each one from God. So that sounds like what you want to do. You don't want to judge things too quickly, because it just may be true that praise will come to every man from God.
Yeah, I mean, look, 1 Corinthians 4:5. I'll look that up.
How would Bruce be doing it too quickly if God is compelling him?
What's that?
I was asking Ace, how would Bruce be doing it too quickly if God is compelling him?
Well, you see, JG, the just justifier will justify the unjust just in the nick of time. Ain't that just juicy?
Does anyone think that was a clear answer to the question?
I do.
Yep.
The just justifier, what does he do? Oh, he will justify the unjust. And guess what? That's right out of the Bible. Romans chapter 4, verse 5. It says, God will justify the ungodly.
It's interesting reading down through that whole section.
Also, ungodly would be a figure of speech in a completely God-compelled, God-directed, God-controlled world.
Yeah. And that's the King James. Romans 4:5.
The idea of ungodly would have to be a figure of speech from a universalist perspective, because nothing is ungodly, all is of God. So every time you see that in the scripture, it would have to be a figure of speech. It would be reducible to that.
Really? So it's King James. Do you not like the King James?
No, I'm asking at this point, does ungodly appear in the concordant?
No, it's the word God in ungodly is not even there. The more proper word would be irreverent. God is justifying the irreverent.
So how do you define irreverent?
I would say I am irreverent. Would you say you're irreverent?
I'm not asking for context. I'm saying, how would you define it?
Irreverent would mean that I'm guessing that you don't have a clue, but you don't care that you don't have a clue. You are irreverent. You are not very spiritual, and you're not trying to pretend like you're spiritual. You're just
okay. So that comes down, that breaks down to God justifies the people he made unspiritual.
Well, what do you make of that? I didn't write Romans chapter 4, verse 5. I just read it, and it says, even in your beloved King James, God is justifying the ungodly.
What part of his creation do you think he shouldn't be held to account for? Justify, if you will.
That's for you, JG.
What is it? Which part of the creation is he
not accountable for?
Well, no, he's accountable for the creation. I'm just asking Ace from his perspective, because if he's not responsible for anything, the Bible is obviously a very different book than traditionally viewed. There's all sorts of figures of speech is riddled within it, specifically and especially Paul's writings. All his apostolic exhortations, his moral teachings would be figures of speech to a different degree, because you wouldn't be able to do the things that he proclaimed you ought to do. It would just be God doing them and you playing it out. So the whole book would be a very different book.
Would there be a way to prove that, that it's not the case that we're just playing out a script?
Well, if you argue that you're irresponsible and you're in a script, a wise enough interlocutor is going to point out that you have no argument.
That's not what I asked, though.
Well, that's how you would. That's how I'm saying you would handle.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you about how you would argue it. I'm asking you, is there?
I'm showing how I would handle that.
Right.
I wouldn't even engage in that, because if someone's coming to me saying they're irresponsible, I would stop them at the gate and say, how are you going to have arguments that are not yours?
Right. So that's not an answer to if there's any way to prove that this is not just some script that's running.
That's how you start to prove it. If that's the argument, you start to prove.
Step?
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, what would be your next step?
Well, you have them against the ropes. You're questioning their epistemology, how they know anything.
They don't know. They don't know anything for certain.
But they're saying, how do I know it's not the Matrix to some degree or other?
I think there was free will in the Matrix, right? But just a program running its script, running.
Yeah. So you're going to you want to challenge their epistemology, how they know things. And if they say they don't know anything for certain, they just believe things.
That's just how they're scripted.
Yeah. So then you say, well, how did you come to that conclusion? Aren't you just determined to say that very thing?
Yes.
Right. So now you're in sort of a regress.
No, it's not a regress. It's a complete agreement with that. That's consistent.
You can't really agree if you're determined. You're just saying determined things. You don't have agency.
Right, but you couldn't give a different answer if you wanted to.
Yeah, the point being that you don't know things, you don't have agency to even engage in a discussion.
Right, but what I'm saying is there would be no way to evidence that it's not a script.
If you're trying to make that argument again, you have no way of knowing, and no way of making a claim. Right. So you're what I'm showing you is that you would be dismantling yourself if pointed out properly.
So if it's an unfalsifiable claim, that doesn't even need to be addressed because there's no way to prove it or disprove it, right?
No.
Should we address unfalsifiable claims?
You're moving into something else now.
Not really.
You're changing the idea. Yeah, you are.
No, there was never any evidence against the idea that it's a script. There'd be no way to gather that.
What I'm saying to you is I'm not even letting you pull that in as an option. It's already
there. It's there.
Not though.
Yeah, it's part of the script.
The way I would engage with this is one-on-one. Your worldview versus mine.
No, that's not how you answer a question about evidence.
It's how I do. Will.
That's ineffective because we're talking about an unfalsifiable claim, JG.
Okay, so let me make this clarification first. If you're bringing in a hypothetical, somebody else said something, you can try that. I may or may not engage, but if you're actually asking me from your worldview that you think everything's determined, then I'll handle it accordingly. So it's just granting you the question for the exploration, but you want to move into other things. So
no, that's fine. I've heard what I needed to hear.
Yeah, if you want to do this properly, you can use ACE.
No, I've heard what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right there on the screen, boys and girls, is our beloved Romans chapter 4, verse 5. God is justifying the ungodly. And if you're a regular old self-righteous Christian, you might look at that verse and say, what the hell? That's not fair for God to justify the ungodly. I've been spending the last 12 years being godly. How can God justify the ungodly? I don't know if you saw this yesterday, JG, but at the beginning of our show, Brother Wes Fallenkamp brought in a comment that was left on someone else's channel that he was having a discussion with in the comment section. And the guy says to Wes, if God does save all, then he owes the rest of us an apology. Why would that fella say that, JG? Since you're a Christian boy, why would this other Christian boy say that if God saves all, he owes us all an apology? Sean Eagle, are you here?
Yeah, half the time.
Could
But
you speak on
probably
behalf of JG, since he seems to be AWOL at the moment?
I can't speak for that guy.
Well, give it a try. You're as familiar with him as anybody, so go ahead and try to answer like JG would answer. Why would this Christian guy say that God has to apologize to us all if he's going to save the whole universe?
I have no idea, Ace.
You want to try, Mr. Freeman? And Mr. Freeman fell asleep. How about you, Bruce?
Gee, I'm sleeping too. I'm sorry. I left a comment in the side chat for Jay, so I didn't have to take up time hearing this. You can read it, Jay. I can't comment anything on your channel, so that's why I'm here. You were streaming Ace's video or his stream, so restreaming it, so you led me here. That's what happened. That's why I addressed you.
So Bruce, you're a Christian, right?
I try. Yeah, I suppose. That's a relative term, though. I mean, what do you believe to be a Christian?
Well,
I know that sounds crazy, but like I tried doxing, I tried lying, and no, that should help me be a Christian. I want to be a true Christian. No, okay, go ahead.
All right. So this Christian guy says on another channel, on the comment section, he says, if God saves the whole universe, he owes us an apology. Now, why would he say that? What the hell's going on?
Well, probably maybe because he's thinking, why should a person have to believe? Why should a person have to? But I suppose maybe the tough thing there would be that if you love God, you would naturally serve him, right? So I don't know. I'm not really sure what to think on it. I can kind of see where he's coming from, but I don't know that God.
So
if the worst that happened is somebody served God and did what was right instead of wrong, if that was the worst that came of it, I don't think there's much of needing an apology. I don't know. What do you think?
Now, this is, who knows what the guy's motivation was, but I'm guessing.
I don't know.
I'm guessing his motivation was, hey, I could have had sex with the deacon's wife and I didn't, and God owes me. And if God comes along and saves everybody, well, then God owes me an apology.
Well, as long as you have, oh my gosh, I've been watching Smokey and these guys too much, and it just, never mind.
Oh, I gave you a moderator's wrench, by the way. You know the rules. You know the rules. Don't be kicking out anybody, okay?
No, I try not to do that. I mean,
I only give out wrenches.
If you don't mind, like if somebody's doxing somebody or lying, whatever, just cause them like lots of trouble. Can I at least ask if that person can be doxed? Or I don't know, doxed, kicked or whatever. I don't know. I don't normally kick people. I hardly ever time people out or kick people. Occasionally, that has to be a lot. I try not to abuse that. Thank you, though.
All right. But I give wrenches out so you won't be kicked out.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's irritating when everybody's getting kicked and can't talk, or that's what kind of I think goes on over there. Jay, is everybody's getting kicked all the time.
What's that? Oh, you're talking
Well,
about the channel again?
It's easy to get blocked over there. You know?
Yeah, no, it's fine if you don't want to come over there. We'll
well,
press
no,
it.
I think you're afraid. You know, that's the
yeah. I know you do, but we'll press it.
You are afraid. Yeah, you don't want answers. You want to ask questions, and then you want people to have. And if you like them when they have difficulty, but if somebody gives you an answer or makes you have to think, then you just kick them. Block them, whatever.
Not really paying attention to
cowardly. I think it's cowardly.
Paying attention to the side chat as much as you might think.
Right. Well, then who's doing it? Why do you allow people to do that constantly? Like for the last couple of years,
well, I didn't know.
I'm constantly being kicked. I've told you time and time again, and every time I come back with a different channel, bam, it's kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You're not allowed to disagree.
Maybe it's not a good.
You asked about,
dude. I can't talk when you're talking all the time.
Well, right, but you ask all these questions, and then somebody addresses it. Next thing you know, they're kicked. Like that's crazy. Like why?
Do you have a specific case that you're talking about so we can get a conversation started about the matter?
I think most.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Addressed to
dude, you're obviously just trying to railroad.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, without interruption, do you have a specific case you want to bring up so we can look at? Otherwise, you're just making generalities.
The specific case is that any channel I have gets kicked over there, and I don't even know why half the time, except that I disagree with something that you presented, or you ask a question, I try to answer it. Next thing you know, I'm kicked.
Okay, that's a poor example because you're using fake names.
Oh my God, it's not a fake name, you moron.
Let me finish. That's a poor example when I ask you for a specific. I don't know that you're a smoke.
I don't have a specific because I don't even know. I might comment like 4 or 5, 10 comments afterwards and then finally realize nobody's replying. And I go, what's going on here? And so I refresh or come back and I realize, oh, wow, there's none of my comments. How am I going to know which one it is that caused somebody to kick you?
I'm not going to talk to you if you just keep interrupting, dude.
I'm not interrupting. I'm explaining. How would I know which comment I left that when I got kicked, if that's all I finally noticed that nobody's replying to anything.
All right. So
how would I know which one it is?
Let me address this. Okay. Try not to interrupt, please. If you have a pressing question or a point that you think someone is scared of, whether you made it under a fake account, a smoked zombie.
It's not a fake account.
Whatever.
Stop
you know what I'm
saying that stupid crap. Smoked zombie and doxing for Jesus are legitimate accounts, and it's me.
Okay, so you're just not going to let me get a point out?
No, just don't feed me your bullshit.
I'm not
going to put up with it.
I'll try it one more time, and then I'm going to stop talking to you if you interrupt me.
Do you know why? Do you know why you'll stop? Because common sense would tell you that if you do something and you get a certain response, then you stop doing it. Why are you thinking like a freaking atheist?
Good one.
See, that's the point. You think just like an atheist. Proof that JG is an atheist. We now have proof.
If you don't have a specific case, dude, if you don't have a specific case, and that's fine. But here's the next thing, okay? No matter what. I
thought Eric was sexy,
so you're just doing it
on to him.
He's obviously moving to marginalize. So,
well, I think you're being ridiculous. You expect me to know exactly the comment I made when it takes a person a while to recognize that you've been kicked. You have to either come back or you have to refresh the page or something. How else would you even know? It's like, this is stupid. Don't you understand that? How would you know when you've been blocked if it doesn't come up and tell you? You'd have to leave a number of comments or leave and come back or something to even know that that happened, wouldn't you? Jay. How would you know? Oh, okay. Carry on.
So that be not judging anything before the season till the Lord should be coming, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the heart. And then applause will be coming to each one from God. That sounds cool.
That does.
I love it that God will give everyone a round of applause.
There's no special ones. They're all going to be getting a round of applause. That is fucking, God, that's deep. I love
Bruce,
that, Ace.
Did you ever hear that everybody's going to get a round of applause from God? Bruce of Memphis, Tennessee. Did you ever hear that God is going to give everyone a round of applause?
Yeah. I had to get coffee. Time is 3:00. I'm still drinking coffee.
Is it a Monterey coffee or just a regular old Starbucks?
No, this is called it's made by a local roaster called God is Pissed.
Oh, that's a great brand of coffee. Oh, you know, I was watching Bullet the other day. Do you remember Bullet, Bruce?
A little bit. It's an old show with it was a horse or something. Am I wrong? I could be wrong.
It's a detective show with Steve McQueen.
Okay, is there a horse involved called Bullet or something?
No,
or am I
Steve McQueen's last name.
Okay, old Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen's last name is Bullet in that show.
Oh,
and it's the movie is most famous for the car chase scene. It is the most elaborate, glorious car chase scene.
Wow.
And Steve McQueen did all of the stunt driving.
Is that when they were in like LA or the San Francisco thing, and they were hitting all those bumps and down the hill and jumping this Mustang or something through the freaking air and stuff? It was like totally insane.
Right, totally insane. Well, anyway, speaking of coffee, you know, I love watching old movies for the old stuff that we no longer see. And, you know, the first obvious thing that you see in old movies is old cars that have real style.
Yeah.
Because all the cars today kind of look the same because they have to do government bullshit of, you know, having safety bumpers and airbags everywhere. So it makes
starting to look like Darth Vader or something, a lot of cars anymore.
But yeah, so in the old days, cars had unique style. Each car maker made a unique style and looking car. Anyway, so but I love watching old movies for all kinds of old things that you can see, right? And so in Bullet, it opens up with this criminal guy getting a ride in a taxi. And then he says, hey, taxi, pull over. I need to make a phone call. And he got out of the car and went to a phone booth and made a phone call. And I just thought, wow, that's cool. In 1968, that's when the movie was made. Nobody had cell phones. So I just thought it was a cool retro throwback, right? Pull over just for a minute. I need to make a phone call. That was cool. And then the next thing I saw, Steve McQueen gets in the car with two other detectives and they're driving along. He says, hey, you got any coffee? Well, today you just pull over in one block. In one block, there's another Starbucks. So everyone buys a cup of coffee. But when Steve McQueen asked, hey, you got any coffee? They gave him a thermos of coffee, a coffee thermos. I thought, man, that's cool. They solved their own problem without Starbucks everywhere.
Yeah. I enjoy coffee, and it, I don't know. It's a hobby, I guess, to me. Yeah. There's something you could get into, Ace, someday. I don't know. Do you drink coffee?
As much as I can, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever think about getting into home roasting at all?
No, I can't be bothered. I've got enough to do right now without adding.
No, I understand. It's kind of fun. It can save you money, but that's probably not where you're headed with it, you know. But nevertheless, it is fun, though. And you know, it's maybe a little less expensive than some of your major brands, but it's it can be rewarding. Takes time, though. You're right.
Bruce, are you suggesting that roasting coffee beans can have a pleasurable and beneficial effect on humans?
Yeah, I think it's fun. Yeah. When it comes
what about
out,
roasting? What about roasting herbs and other plants?
I never thought about that. I have. I've smoked some of my tobacco and stuff with hickory and oak and stuff. If you're trying to make pipe tobacco, you know.
I was talking about cannabis.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I don't know. People can do what they want. I do kind of wonder if someday we'll regret.
What's the difference between coffee and cannabis as far as being pharmakeia?
Pharmakeia? Well, coffee doesn't typically alter your mind. It's not marijuana is a mild hallucinogenic. I'd say there's
coffee absolutely alters your mind. If it didn't, people wouldn't drink
but
it.
coffee is not a mild hallucinogenic. There is a difference, and so with pharmakeia, and when you look at, it's my understanding is the magicians and such. I think it'd probably be easier to play tricks and fake magic tricks and that kind of thing with somebody that's really trashed out, massively stoned. I think it would be easier. Like if somebody ate an ounce of hash, I don't know, it'd probably be easier to pull tricks on them than if they drank a couple thermoses full of coffee.
So not all beans and plants are created equal. Gotcha.
It doesn't. No, they're different. They have different effects, right? Yeah, I mean, it's like eating mushrooms or something versus drinking coffee.
Is there a morality attached to? Is there a morality attached to the use of plants?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would guess. I mean, if you're gonna sit and eat magic mushrooms and stuff while trying to be an EMT or something, I'd say, yeah, you could be responsible for somebody's death or something,
Okay, so in a far-reaching example, yes, that could be a thing. But as far as just the use of the mushrooms or the cactus or the coffee bean or tobacco leaf or whatever, that in itself is not a moral thing or immoral thing. It's fairly amoral, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I come from a really bad drug background, so I have a different view on it, maybe than some. So, maybe not the right person to be asking. I spent a lot of time in detox and that kind of stuff. I'd rather kind of let the subject go. I'm not going to stand up for it. Sorry.
What's your favorite subject to stand up for, Bruce?
I don't know that I have one.
What about Fender versus Gibson?
What's the difference?
Get right out of town.
Well, no, I'm serious. Like that. What do you see difference? You have three tuners on each side of the peg head on a Gibson, typically. Maybe not on an Explorer or something or a Firebird, but typically that's what you see. More binding, glued in neck, humbucking pickups versus, what's
well, a lot of it's neck shape and
well, okay. Well, what's the neck shape difference? I mean, you have
Yeast. Do you have the concordant version of this with it to go up against the King James that you can put up?
Sorry, Jay. I didn't mean to. I'm just saying it.
So there are topics that you'll take a stand on.
My whole point is just very simple, that I think they're both great guitars, and I don't really see one as superior to the other. I think I might have both. I don't really have an issue with either or. They're different, though. If you want to argue that, okay, they're different. Yeah, I got you.
All right, go ahead, JG, and read.
I was just wondering if you've got them, if you can pinch them both so we can see them both.
Yeah, they're right here. I got the King James right under the concordant version. So you want to read the concordant version first?
It's just the idea that, again, with the universalist philosophy, be not judging anything before the season.
Mm-hmm.
If God is determining you to do those things, this has got to be a figure of speech somehow, because you're not actually judging before the season. You're just being made to do that.
Work it out. Go ahead. Read the King James too.
Ace, I have worked it out. It's pitched back to you. I've heard your philosophy, and I'm reading the verse. In the, let me finish.
What does this mean?
Go back up to the concordant if you want.
No, they're both just fine. Just
right. So if you have a fully determined philosophy, when we read, therefore judge nothing before the time, that reads very differently. You're not actually judging before. You wouldn't be judging before the time. Therefore, this attestation not to do that thing would be a very different concept, because you wouldn't even be doing the thing in the first place or have the availability to do that thing. Does that make sense to you, Ace?
There are plenty of people alive today who judge things before they know all the information about it.
No, I agree with you.
Excuse me just for a second. Ace, I think what he's saying is that there's a choice involved in judgment. Being told, given advice to do a thing like do not judge is saying that you have the ability to do that thing, some sort of agency.
Right,
well,
so
even if you give somebody this encouragement, and I mean, just imagine telling Karen, who is just bad mouthing you upside one side and down the other, tell her, hey, judge nothing before the time. That's just going to piss her off. It's not going to encourage, it's not going to help her.
Is that helping address the question though?
The question of what?
Right. The one that I asked you, then Will.
Okay. All right. Hold on, JG, because you're seasoning it. Don't season it. Hold on.
Well, I mean, you're helping them.
Ace,
Go ahead.
the question, I'm not, yeah. Ace, the question is, if you're getting advice at all to not judge or to judge or to do anything, it's suggesting in the advice that you have free agency. Because it's saying don't judge, as though you have some control over whether you judge or don't judge.
By appearance, you can say that. But when Paul says it to the Corinthian saints, he's got a big audience in Corinth. I mean, I estimate there's somewhere north of 500 people in the church in Corinth. And some of them are pricks, absolute assholes in Corinth. And so I can imagine if he told them this face to face, judge nothing before the time, they wouldn't be able to hear it. They wouldn't be able to obey it. They wouldn't be able to process it at all.
So why say it?
He's talking to a very narrow audience that can hear it and apply it.
They can hear it, but when you say apply it, there's again agency suggested in the application. They're choosing.
Well, just how free do you want to make this agency? Okay.
Look, I love you, Ace. You don't help me understand what you're suggesting, because there are things in the text that are you saying that don't read it for what it's saying, read it for how you want me to read it. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Well, these are legitimate questions about agency.
Yeah. Our so-called agency has many factors pushing and pulling on it. And at different times and different places, different factors will push and pull on it. And there was a time when I read this passage and I couldn't understand it at all. It went right over my head. But I remember when I read it in 1980 or so, I thought, wow, that's interesting, but I still couldn't make much of it. But now things have changed in me. The push-pull factors have changed, and I can look at it and say, oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah, you're just giving personal testimony and personal experience. You're not actually answering what's being asked. And Will has laid it out.
You are asking a question.
Let me finish. My point.
Let me finish. Right, of course.
Will was laying out.
Talk away.
I mean, seriously, I'm just trying to finish a point. Will was helping me out. He was laying it out clearly for you, and you didn't answer him either. If you want to take me out of it, fine. You're not answering him either.
I can't see the free will question being answered with any type of static, hard as a rock permanency. Our will is not that permanent. It's very influenceable.
Okay, but
nobody that I've ever met in my life has remained a horse's ass forever. We all change.
Yeah, but Ace, did the writer of Corinthians know the interpretation, or did they know the truth about free will or the lack thereof when they're writing this down as advice that was given?
Of course.
So they knew there was no free will, but they still wrote it in a way that it would be interpreted, that the reader would have some say in the future.
I would say that the free will argument is rather new in humanity. That the language of the scripture is, they weren't even arguing over free will. They just had the grand assumption that God chooses and God has a purpose. And we are chosen before the world began, and we are saved before the world began. The whole language of the scripture from beginning to end is God oriented. And it's only the modern day knuckleheads who come along and say, I have a free will. Look at me. I'm important.
I think it's just people that read the book, because there's thou shalt nots, and there's a covenant, which is an agreement that the whole point of an agreement is you have to be able to willfully engage in it. And I'm not saying that you were part of the covenant, but there's tale of this interaction, right, in the Bible. There's free will, thou shalt nots, thou shalt, you will do this, you will not. It's not saying that you're pre-programmed to do this. It means you're going to need to make a choice to do this, or we're going to throw rocks at you until you die. That's the way it reads. I'm just saying that's how the Bible reads. Now, I get that you have different view on it. I'm trying to understand how we get through that in just figures of speech.
The Bible reads also that God chooses us before the world was ever created. So how do we sort it out in our minds? So which is more true? Because the way that helps me is to understand that some things are relatively true, but then other things are absolutely true. And if JG and his pals want to put all the emphasis on the relative truth that you must obey, well, knock yourself out. Try to obey. Good for you. Is it working?
It's times like this. It's times like this. We need Eric here to bring us all truth and all light.
Well, Bill's going to add some levity to take the pressure off.
Because when Eric says something and maybe it makes us.
Why are we talking about Eric? To get Ace out of the question?
Well, I just want to point out.
Ace can't answer the question. Let's talk about Eric.
When he says, "Hey, stop interrupting there, Jay." When he brings something up or presents something, and then later he didn't really mean that. He didn't mean that. He really was saying such and such, and he didn't say that, even though he did say that, because saying that doesn't mean he actually said that or meant that.
Well, we don't know that he chose to do
concrete.
it yet.
That's what's concrete about it.
All right, we're debating right now whether he chooses to do it or whether it's something he's scripted to do. That's what's on the table.
Well, he can't help himself. The devil makes him say it.
We don't know that because that's
do.
We haven't entered that into the argument yet. The parameters are not thus.
Well, we needed to bring the devil
talking about the language. We're talking about the language
and spaceships and crap. The damn devil's involved.
All right. You want to take a second and vent about Eric, or can we get back to
I wasn't talking. I'm just talking about lying. That's all right. Okay. I'll go smoke up a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean, man. I just don't want us to get away from this, because this is something that I question too. Because I can understand the ideas, Ace, of us, this all being a script. And I can understand the idea of us having free will. I just can't make it all work with and be consistent within the Bible. And you have your interpretation is different because it's predetermined, and there's language issues to deal with there. And people that believe in free will, there's some hurdles they have to get over too because of language. So I'm just trying to parse out who has the best grasp of probability of being correct.
All right. So I'm saying that there are some things that are relatively true about various aspects of the story, and there are some things that are absolutely true. Now, the free willer comes along and he speaks as if everybody has the same capacity to judge and make a decision because he's got a free will, and therefore he can go to hell if he makes the wrong choice. But, that doesn't address people with mental deficiencies, retards, Down syndrome people. There's so many factors going on in a fellow's head and his heart and his understanding. He does not have a free will. It's only if you have a limited number of friends that all have the same type of mentality that you can say, oh, we all have a free will. Everybody has a free will. No, I know a lot of stupid people, and they don't have the ability to.
This is not an answer.
What do you think the Bible is addressing? What do you think the Bible is getting at when it says about to those who are given much is expected? You know what I'm talking about?
I know the verse.
So I'm thinking that, there's probably something to that.
I think he just answered to Will, like, because there's retarded people, we can't make sense of this. Something like that.
He knows his audience because I am fairly retarded. But I think I'm following.
Okay.
Well,
All right. So when Paul says in this passage, judge nothing before the time, it's all right. Some people can read this passage and it goes right over their head. The sentence is too long. They can't follow it. It has 30 words in this sentence. But if you can see this passage, if God gives you the maturity, the brain power, the spirituality to see an encouraging word, judge nothing before the time, because sooner or later, every man will have praise from God.
Okay.
This
Ace,
is a precious passage.
I don't have that. I don't have that, Ace. I want you to explain to me how if I'm on a bicycle going down a ramp, a very steep ramp, and my bicycle has no brakes, that it helps me with people holding up a sign that says stop. Right? It is. That's what this feels like when it says judge nothing before the time. That's the stop sign that does me no good if I have no ability to put on the brakes.
You
You understand what I'm saying?
Down. No, well, do you have the ability to put your feet down?
Okay, how does that translate in the metaphor?
Choice or not?
How does that translate in the metaphor?
I think we have free will, personally.
Okay, that's not. But that's
you can
right,
put your feet in the spokes, but that's a bad idea.
All right, inserting free will right now is not helping. I'm trying to get Ace to explain to me how a warning in the language here for the reader and the intended recipient of the message helps if there's no brakes on the bicycle. If you understand, okay, if there's free will, it's a different story. All right, go ahead, Ace, if you don't mind, humor me, because I think this is the problem that I have when I try to understand this script and all this advice.
Well, how free is the free will?
Yeah, this is going to be the problem, and even when you get past this, there's still the problem of him floating will in and out.
He's asking me. It is unknown how free the free will is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like suddenly now there's a well, hold on, just let me make this point, because he'll say there's no will, and then he'll say, well, there's a little bit of will.
Okay, let him tell me that then, because I'm asking, is there a way to prove any measure of will, whether we have it or not, whether it's free or whether it's consigned to a script? Ace, what I'm saying is, it's like the spirit, it's like the soul. It's we can't weigh it, we can't measure it. I don't know how much free will you're referring to.
I've got no use for the term, actually. But I got a question right here on the screen. It says, is the will of man independent of God?
That doesn't answer his question, the fact that you have no use for it.
For the phrase. I have no use for the
phrase.
And
then you moved into a new
question. Talk about the will of man.
You're not answering will, and you're moving into a new question.
This is still on the same topic. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It won't go anywhere. Go ahead. Is the will of man independent of God? Are we suggesting that man has his own will? And if man has a free will, God has a free will, right? If God has a free will, man has a free will. But
wow.
I don't think that if God is the omnis, he can have a free will. I mean, really, there'd be no purpose in doing.
It's a different category. He's sovereign.
I'm talking to Ace about the version of God that he's presenting.
He's still a sovereign God.
The reason that we're proposing that he knows everything is the idea that he's he's omnipotent, and that's why there's no free will. But if he's not omnipotent, that leaves room for the idea of free will.
So you want to address the question with a yes or no? Is the will of man independent of God?
Doesn't foreknowledge come into this also? I mean, there is a difference between foreknowledge and predestining and making everything turn out a certain way, isn't there?
I don't know.
If there's prophecy, there's so many small factors that have to work together to bring about the thing that it doesn't leave a lot of room. I mean, this goes right to the idea of Judas again, or the Pharaoh and his hardened heart.
Yeah,
like it's arbitrary when we talk about whether the man's will is dependent on God's will. We haven't established that man has what measure of will man has. What are we expressing? Are we expressing God's will in everything that we do, good, bad, amoral, whatever? Or are we expressing our own limited free will? Like I'm trying to find out where does will come into this if we're calling it anything other than a script? Because will is not the appropriate word at all.
You're
If
already
this is a
here.
script.
You're already here.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, you said where I had to throw that in. Where,
yeah.
I'm just trying. Yeah. All right.
God's making me leave. Have a good day, all. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate it. Happy trails to you guys.
Are you going, are you, Bruce?
Yeah. Getting late.
All right,
I think, kind of.
All right.
Got to work on some stuff. So have a good day, guys. Take care.
Is it possible that we have free will? God still doesn't need hell for that. The reason that I ask is because most Christians believe that when you go to heaven, that you get a new body and a new spirit or whatever, where you won't ever sin again. And if that can be done for believers, whose only qualification is that they believe the right thing, why wouldn't this be available to unbelievers to just remedy the whole problem of sin? What's
That's
the
a good
debt
question,
that needs to be paid if Jesus already paid the debt? What debt is left?
Go ahead and ask JG. He seems to have the answer.
No, this is a simple conversation. It's there on the screen. It's back to judge nothing before the time you're being asked. How can we do that without a will? And you haven't answered yet.
And therefore, you're going to dismiss any beauty in this verse and just go back to.
He's going to appeal to like something else about the verse in order not to answer. Now, Will's tried to be patient with you too, you know?
Well, I put another question that was more, I think, productive and was open to all of us to answer, but I don't know that you want to do that.
It's just, if you want to just stick to the question, it needs to be answered. It needs to be addressed.
I understand, but if you pick a scab too long, it's going to bleed and then it's going to scar, and that's just not beneficial either. So
what do you mean by picking a scab here, though?
Okay, so let me explain how this works. Okay, Ace is my friend, so I'm not just going to keep punching him because he doesn't want to answer right now. Okay,
yeah.
The will thing will come back up over and over again because it's part of the main thing. So I don't mind addressing and seeing how it operates in other hypotheticals, like the thing I asked about a new body and a new spirit, and just doing that for unbelievers.
Well, you're saying you might press this issue on somebody else, but you won't press it on Ace because you like him.
That's right. I'm not going to continue to punch because like he's my friend before any of this religious stuff.
But you're not really punching him. I mean, isn't this a theological discussion with it? Hold on, let me finish though. Isn't this a theological discussion where the nature of these discussions is to get to the truth, even if that means pressing on and continuing?
Sure, but I'm in the man's house and I'm showing respect. If he's uncomfortable, and clearly he's uncomfortable with this line of questioning, I'm going to be respectful of that and allow him, allow him a reprieve for a while.
That would be fair if JG took the same stance with Eric and keep punching him on spirits orbs and shit.
Yeah, well, the thing about this is I would agree with that in a sense, but this issue of will and free will, he's done multiple episodes over and over again about the matter, and it seems when you hone it into a verse he brings on the screen, well, he can't even answer to that, can he?
And this is for you, JG. Can you not see where the idea of a changed spirit implies will in the question that I asked? So if he addresses my question and talks about that, I mean, he put it on you, but if he addresses it at all, it'll indicate a little bit about will and the way that he sees it post death or post resurrection or whatever. So I'm just not coming in, continually to kick in the front door. If he doesn't want to do that, he'll explain it throughout his other explanations. It'll piece together his ideas about it if I give him a chance. But I'm certainly not going to do anything but get kicked out if I keep twisting his nipple.
Yeah, I mean, it's true you're exposing him by a different route. Yes,
I'm not trying to expose him. I'm trying to get a clear understanding of how he sees this, so that I can make sense of it. You want to expose him. I just want to
I'm saying
understand
that you actually, I'm telling you actually are, though. If you see it in a different light, you're exposing him. You're just doing it gently.
I just want to find out what the truth of the matter is and how he understands
Yes.
it, and whether
Yes.
whether it's relevant to me.
Yeah, let's find the truth of the matter. Exactly. So, I mean, I just disagree with the principle.
Is that your interest as well, to find the truth of the matter, or to defend a personal narrative?
I want to find the truth of the matter about this will and this free will issue that's been going on for years now.
And do you think that's attainable?
Well, if we can't, if the man who's always talking about free will and putting the free will verse or an example of a free will verse on the screen can't answer to it, I think in a sense it answers itself, because he can't answer particular questions.
Do you want the truth of the, hold on. I think you're talking about a book report. You're talking about, I'm asking, do you want the truth of the matter about free will, or do you want the truth of the matter of what you can wrangle out of the texts of the Bible to try and support a particular narrative?
I want Ace to answer about 1 Corinthians 4:5, since he put it on the screen. That's all.
So it's about the text. It's not about the reality of free will or the lack thereof.
Well, those things are entangled.
Okay, they might be entangled.
He's still not answering them. Now I'm talking to you. You know what I mean?
Right, because it's about,
because he's your friend, and you're now you're moving as the common unbeliever.
Proceed. Excuse me. Proceed.
No, I mean you were being helpful. I'm that's true. You were asking him in a slightly different way, and I think he trusts answering your questions more than mine. But it is the same question, you know.
Just try tact, okay? I mean, just be respectful and try tact.
I mean, I'm not being disrespectful. It's just we're obviously opposed to each other. You know what I mean?
Doesn't have to be that way. You have the same book.
So this is what we're hashing out, right? This interpretation.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you're doing.
So JG, by insisting over and over again that Will Freeman is my friend, are you saying that you are not my friend?
I mean, I don't claim to be your friend, and you don't claim to be mine, right?
Judge nothing before the time.
Well, does that answer the question?
The day is young. We might end up being friends before midnight.
Well, typically. Yeah.
So the verse says that every man will have praise from God. How can this be? That's the import of the sentence. That's how the sentence ends up.
And why did that make Sean laugh?
Because
that made me laugh, because there's joy in it. There's rejoicing in it, JG, that everybody's going to be equal when it comes to God. That this bullshit about exposing people and being better than people and going through all that stupid shit that you come in here with, right? It just equals the playing field. Everybody gets along and pats each other on the back and says, "What a beautiful story." How's that, JG?
Every man will have praise from God.
I mean, that was something, but I think it's more like we're going to skip the first part of the verse and go to the second. That's all that's happening. Because the second part we've deemed now is more important, especially because we can't answer the first part.
Well, according to your plot line, you and your free will pals do not believe that every man will have praise from God.
Free will pals. So that's what's in question. The will itself, it's still not answered. You brought it back in. You see how he did that? He brought it back in.
I brought it back in because you don't believe that every man will have praise from God.
Ace, you're trying to redirect so you don't have to answer what's being asked of you. It's very simple.
You're asking, does man have a free will? And I'm thinking to myself that, yes, we have a will, but who the hell knows how free it is or not free?
There it is again, ladies and gentlemen. The will has appeared back again in Ace's theology. Another day, another will appearance. See, this is why it doesn't work. We can't even figure out if there's a will depending on the day and the mood you're in. How is someone supposed to have a discussion, a meaningful, sensible discussion with someone who one day doesn't have any will and the next day, well, they have a little bit?
I don't see you offering any clear definitions of what a free will is.
Well, we're looking at 1 Corinthians 4:5, and it's saying, judge nothing before the time, right? We have an exhortation here of some sort that seems like, well, I need to make a decision here. I need some sort of agency to do that very thing.
Yeah. And well, go ahead and do it. Do you think you can get to the point where you judge nothing before the time?
Well, I need some sort of agency to do that. That's the point.
Well,
and today,
because you're annoying as long as you're judging everything before the time, and I would encourage you to judge nothing before the time.
Yeah, I mean I'll call it a day's work on that. You have a will again today, so that's fine.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello,
Hey.
Well, I'm just in my car. I was just listening to you guys for a while, and I was just thinking. I had a thought. I just pulled over. Just had a thought. You're talking about free will and man's free will, God's free will. I to the conclusion that there's no such thing as free will in man nor in God. That's a kind of a crazy statement to make, but the reason I make that statement is because God is governed by His eternal purpose, and His will is bound to that purpose. He has no free will outside that purpose. He's bound Himself to that eternal purpose in Christ, and there's no free will outside of that purpose. And God is regulating all things according to that eternal purpose, and His will is locked in step with that eternal purpose, and there's no deviating from that. So God can't just change His mind or change their plan. He has no free will to do that. He set in stone His plan and purpose for creation, and He subjects Himself